Cumberland County Museum has been open since October 2010, and what we try to do is pepper in some history of our local residents and the sacrifices that they've made in our many different wars, and also give a little bit of their personal history as well. But actually we're trying to celebrate the sacrifices that have been made by all of these people in the service of their country. So we're pleased to have had this former Carnegie Library that was built back in 1904-1905, and it was sort of a surplus building for the community at that point since we built a new library. So we purchased this with some generous donations from various sources, and we've turned our old library, a building that we're very proud and our community heritage is very proud of, and we turned this into the Cumberland County Military Museum. Cumberland County has a very rich history with the national road that runs just outside. This was the road that was created by Thomas Jefferson in 1806, and it was the poor man's route to the interior of the country. That being so, it became a major military route whenever armies would move from the east to the west. And for example, we have right here the Civil War display of our museum. Back in 1861, Ulysses S. Grant was the commanding officer of the Illinois 21st Regiment, and as a recruiting officer he came down to both Mattoon and Greenup to see if he could build up his regiment. So he had spent some time right here in Greenup, Illinois before he put his full regiment together up in Mattoon. So we have on display at the museum a lot of our local Civil War memorabilia, actual things that were used by our Cumberland County soldiers whenever they fought either for the North or the South. Most of our soldiers in Cumberland County did fight for the Union cause, but a few of our soldiers went south to fight for the rebel cause because Cumberland County was known as a Copperhead community. It had divided loyalties between the North and South. So what we have here, we have canteens, we have bugles, we have blankets of some of our soldiers that were actually used 150 plus years ago during the Civil War. We have epaulets, we have officer sashes, and a number of things that are very, very interesting for people to come in and see. America had been isolationistic through the early part of the 1900s until World War I had broken out. 1914, there was a set to between Germany and Russia, France and England. Of course, that started out as a very small war over there, but soon blossomed up to be a world war, hence World War I. We didn't send anybody from the United States over there until 1917, but once people started getting involved from the United States in World War I, it was an all-out effort. One of our local persons that fought over there was Edgar Neal, whose name you might not know until you realize that he's the man that created Neal Tire, and he and his son Burnham are locally famous for all the philanthropic work that they've done, and they've helped out with Eastern Illinois University, and they've also helped us out here at the Military Museum. So what I have here is Edgar Neal's World War I uniform, which is just in pristine shape. So we're very proud to have this exhibit here at the Military Museum. What we have here is our World War II exhibit. For the United States, it was a maximum effort. World War II had begun in September of 1939, but the United States tried to stay out of that war as long as we possibly could until December 7th, 1941, whenever Pearl Harbor was suddenly and maliciously bombed by the Japanese. So what we have is a variety of displays here at our Military Museum showing our Cumberland County veterans and some of the artifacts that they had brought home as war relics. We have a piece of Adolf Hitler's home, the Berghof, taken by some of our local veterans. We have displays about Pearl Harbor itself. We have Japanese helmets, German helmets. We have some sand from Auschwitz and Dachau, which were bad prisoner of war camps, death camps as a matter of fact. So we have a variety of interesting displays over World War I and World War II as well. So not to short circuit what happened in Korea and Vietnam, we also are developing right now and actually need more artifacts and displays of things that happened whenever we fought in Korea. We're also developing our Vietnam display area as well. So even though that those are not quite as developed as what our World War I, World War II area is, we are working on to improve that for our Military Museum. This is our president's room at the Cumberland County Military Museum, a place where we generally have our meetings whenever we meet once a month. We really like this room because this represents all the presidents that have been in Cumberland County. In fact, of all the portraits that we have here, the only president who has actually not been in Cumberland County is George Washington. Yeah, he has a claim to Cumberland County because he was the man that conceived the creation of the National Road as a war road, a military road that could get our armies from the east, whenever he was president back in the 1790s, to the west part of our country, which would be over the Mississippi River. Even though he did not get the National Road signed into law, it was Thomas Jefferson, our third president, who got the job done. So between 1806 and the mid-1830s, we had the creation of the National Road. But yet we have Abraham Lincoln, we have Zachary Taylor, we have Teddy Roosevelt, we have William Howard Taft. Quite a few presidents have been here in Cumberland County because of the National Road and for what it meant for our country. If you'd like to come to the Cumberland County Military Museum, we don't have set hours per se, but we're always open. You could come to any of the 3 buildings in our museum complex, and surely there will be somebody either at the Green Up Depot or the Johnson Building who could bring you over to the Cumberland County Museum, and we'd love to see you here.